you if you control the roads. You know,
Right.
so, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Mrs. Ashley?
Any time soon, Basin Street's gonna be taken care of?
We're going to discuss that later in the meeting, but at this point in time, I'm working on it. And you'll understand if you're here for that part. I'm not
I'll
really,
just be here.
I'm really not supposed to comment, but it's on the agenda. So.
Okay.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Mr. Rathberg?
Yeah, I have more of a suggestion. It's about Basin Street.
Gee.
I walked it, and I realized that some parts have potholes and some don't. And it appears that where there's sand, there isn't as many potholes. Where the clay is, it's bad. From Rochester Road to the second pole is really bad. And my suggestion is that I don't think the village can do it, but it would be good to put 2 pipes underground to the catch basin, back 100, 150 feet on each side, and I think it'll all drain into the catch basin. The village can't do it. I would like to do it on my property, put it into the catch basin, then we can get it down to where it should be no cost to the village, and it probably would fix, because I think that's the worst. It's not the worst, but it's as bad as over by your place.
Thank you.
I think they're equal. And I think
It's
I
bad.
can
It's
solve
bad.
that one myself. I don't think.
Well, you'll have to make application to the village for,
Well, yeah.
for what you're considering doing. And then we would probably have to have
French drain.
we'd have to consult with the village engineers,
Right,
which is what we would normally do for a drain, so.
right. But I just thought I'd make that suggestion because it doesn't seem to get better each year. Was it worse this year?
Okay.
It's
That
bad.
all?
That's all I know, it's bad.
Would anybody else care to address the council? No? Okay. All right, moving on to under new business. I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Nothing. Go about your business.
No, she's just giving me
I'm giving him a hard
giving the
time.
new guy a lesson. That's all.
Yeah, listen and learn.
No, that's all.
Oh, you better be careful. You haven't heard him yet.
I think I've heard it, so maybe not. Okay, the first item on our new business is the sewer study bond council. The ad hoc committee did not have a quorum at their last meeting. However, the engineers gave us a rather detailed report wherein there were suggestions about the type of system that we would end up going with. There were 2 types. There was a community septic system was one alternative, and a lagoon system was the other alternative. And they gave us a construction cost for each alternative. That's in kind of like today dollars, not 2-year dollars, 2 years away dollars. But the question became, what can we do to find out what it's actually going to cost for financing, for borrowing money for that. And the row representative really pressed that we would need to talk to municipal bond council, who are up on what the rates are, what the limits, what the availability is. We know that availability is good. The problem is the interest rates and the term and any conditions that would have to be met by the village in order to borrow money and then build with it would have to be met. So I contacted, and the council, you received my memo. This is not our first rodeo. We've had road bonds before, but we've never had a clean water or a revolving fund or a sanitary sewer bond. So our attorney suggested another bond counsel located in Lansing, as it happens. And they're willing to meet with us at no charge for one meeting. However, we can't meet as a body with them without complicating things with the Open Meetings Act. So I'd like to suggest we need 2 people from the council, and I'd like to get at least 1, possibly 2 from the ad hoc committee to sit down and hear, or actually to give this company, the representative, some information on what we're looking at, what we've learned. I have sent him some of the information already, but since Jennifer Arundel is no longer on the council, but she is still a committee member, I extended an invitation to her, and I was hoping, and I know Alex is pressed for time, but he did give us a calendar of available dates. It ranges from April 25th basically to the 2nd and 3rd of May. And he would come here to meet us here in the village. So if you would, if the council would, you could check your calendars, and if there's he preferred the 25th, I believe, was his optimal date, and I don't have a problem with that either. But if I could get, if you could check your availability and let me know in the next couple days so I could get back to him, I would appreciate it. I hope to hear from Jennifer Arundel as well on this. And that's really all I have, but there would be a cost if we did move forward with bond counsel. You know, we would get a proposal from them, much like we do with our engineers. Whether we take it or not, or whether we want to do it at all, I feel like we're kind of obligated to do it because people will want to know going forward how expensive or how manageable it is. But it depends on at what cost is what we will need to decide. So unless anybody has an objection to this meeting, I'd like to go ahead and proceed for it. Just a second. Any thoughts? If not, at least before the end of the week, let me know. The sooner the better. That way he can lock in his schedule and I can lock in ours.
During the day meeting?
It would be probably, you should have gotten a note from me, but there is a calendar on it, and it does have like the 20th after 3, the 21st of morning, 25th after 2 p.m., 26th the morning, 27th anytime, and then May 2nd after 1 p.m., and May 3rd morning. So there's something out there. Just if you're interested and or available, it would be appreciated. Okay, and that would be he's a CPA for the bond counsel company, so he's the guy that would actually be doing the numbers for bond counsel. Are the lawyers that would actually do the legal part of obtaining a bond from or through the state, as provided for by the general law of Michigan. So are there any questions on that? If not, oh, I'm sorry, Cindy, go ahead. I'm trying to forget. No, that's okay.
Do either one of those, I know the one did not benefit everybody that needed it. Does the other system benefit everybody that needs it? Like,
yeah, generally the community septic system was very small, and it covered mostly from Forest Street down to the mill and a little bit north and south. The lagoon system would take care of downtown, east and west basically, and more south and west. South and southwest would be
I just just think if you're
And
going to
as,
do it,
you
you
know-
need to do it for the ones that are going to benefit. them.
No, absolutely. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're not doing a system that would encompass the whole village. I mean, between the expense of that and our low population, it just, low number of residences, it really doesn't make fiscal sense. So that's kind of where
Okay.
we are.
I couldn't remember the one.
Yeah.
The room one wasn't very, didn't take enough people on.
Yeah, the initial exploration was to have a pipe go all the way to Oxford, but it was almost $40 million for that system. So, I mean, it was just not realistic, even with a loan or a state assistance on that.
Addison didn't want to.
Well, Addison Township, several of the board members are very worried about development if any type of sewer system goes in. So they're, rightfully so. I mean, if you like the way things are, you know, but it's a choke point for the village, because the township and the village council agree that we'd like Leonard being the commercial center, if you would, of the township. Lakeville doesn't really lend itself to that, and nobody wants to live on a Dixie Highway or an M59 where the main road is just storefront after storefront after storefront, so.
But they want a nice quaint little village. You know, small business.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
we love small businesses, frankly, out here, you know, more so. But it has its ups and downs. The small businessmen sometimes are working on such a tight margin that it's hard for them too, you know, so.
It's kind of a bummer for Lakeville though, because they do have small parcels where they are also in trouble with septic. I
Yeah.
know of one specific.
Right,
That's
and-
all I know of, but
And we had explored doing a joint system with Lakeville Lake, but monetarily, their median income is so much higher than ours that there would be no qualification for any relief from the state, so that our residents could end up paying much more money per residence than what they're paying elsewhere in the state. So it's a catch-22. So, okay, sorry about that for going on about it. Next item on the agenda is a request from the Pollyant Trail Management Council to submit a pre-development grant application to the Oakland County Parks like we did back in 2022. And since Leonard does not have an application in this year for another grant, we can submit a grant on or they can submit a grant under us. Only cities, villages, and townships are allowed to apply for a grant. However, the park department allows a community that is part of a recreational entity like the Pollyant Trail to submit a grant. So Pollyant Trail would like to submit a grant request, and they're asking us to support them by approving a resolution that, if you don't have one, I've got some up here. Anybody want one or two, whatever? And I can read it, or I can hit the highlights. Council have a preference? Read it? Read the whole thing? Okay. Okay, well, basically, we would be acting as a fiduciary entity on behalf of and in partnership with the Pollyant Trailway Management Council, of which we are also a member. So they want to apply for a grant to help with the preliminary engineering and modernization, if you would, of the trail, which basically entails signage and having better crossing markings and handicapped crossing markings for people, so that if they're ADA eligible, they would there would be mats there and they would pave a certain amount of the intersection on the trail so that those things could be put in place to make it more friendly for all users, is how they prefer to talk to it. So this was all in the master plan that the Pollyant Trail put together for itself as far back as 2019. And they're going to ask for $100,000, of which they would be responsible for $25,000. And mainly, the resolution says that should that grant be made, it would be necessary for the Pollyant Trail to guarantee that they would be totally responsible for the fiscal and technical sides of it. And basically, we would do what they have done for us in the past, which is they've accepted 501c3 money for the mill through a special agreement that the village council approved several years ago. And we would be doing the same thing for them. The money would be passed if their application through us is approved and funded, then we would do the same for them. We would just process the money through to them. So are there any questions on this?
No added cost to us, correct?
No, that is absolutely part of it. It specifies in here that should or when the award is made, that they would indemnify us from all responsibility, right? So as the representative from the village to the Pollyant Trail Management Council, I think it's a good thing. We're already members, so we benefit from it indirectly. So I would have no problem recommending approve it. There's no guarantee that they'll get the money. I mean, just about every community in Oakland County is applying for a grant. However, because we do represent 5 communities, the Pollyant Trail represents 5 communities, it's kind of spreads the money out and might be a winner just on that regard, so we won't know. So I'd like to ask for a motion then to adopt the resolution, and we could have a roll call vote if there is a motion.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution to support the grant application by the village of Leonard, a local county person rec trail redevelopment grant program for funding preliminary engineering on the Pollyant Trail.
Like to support.
Okay, we have trustee Pratt making the motion and trustee Kennedy making the second to approve the resolution. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call, please, Lori?
Sure. McDonald?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Pelichick?
Yes.
Swap?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. The resolution passes. Thank you very much. From me and the Pollyant Trail Council. Okay, moving on then to number 3, the Village 2023 Local Road Improvement Program. As council members are familiar with, this has been an annual program sponsored by the Oakland County Road Commissioners to provide money to local communities with downtowns in order to upgrade and improve the infrastructure in those areas. And in this year, I believe the funding is the same as last year. We're eligible for $3,139. And when we match it, that makes the project worth $6,279. What I'd like to recommend to the council is in the past, most of our improvements have been at supporting the stores on the west side of Forest Street. We've put new road base down and widened Whitehead and done some gravel and intersection work, so that a lot of the pop trucks and that go back through Center Street, Division Street, and come around. And also, one year we did up the hill here, especially since the garbage trucks were just tearing it up. We had to put more gravel in just for that. But this year, I would like to propose that our project would be Division Street east of Forest Street. That's the area that back in 2011, we used the grindings, the millings from the asphalt when we did Forest Street, and we put them down on Division Street, and the Star Excavating generously graded it and compacted it, and it held up relatively well until the last 3 or 4 years, where we've tried using cold patch to do potholes on it. We've tried gravel, and we've tried riprap, they call it, which is kind of it's kind of like mill grindings, but it's much finer, and it doesn't really harden up or compact like millings. So what I would like to do is propose that we use the total project would be $6,000. I did some preliminary calculations, and the material alone will probably be about $4,300 to put 2 inches on that length of road from Forest Street down to Beza Street, where Beza Street turns south. And I think that would be a good use, and it would certainly make it better for the residents that have to travel that, as well as the trucks that go back and forth on it anyways, going to the truck well. So, are there any questions from the council on that? Audience?
So I'm there all day. I live right on the corner. I'm there all day. There's a lot of traffic down Basel for the Pollyant Trail that comes around that corner. They come zooming around the corner. I know the speed limit's 25. I think it should be 15 on Basel. I think 25 is way too much.
You don't want to even go there.
Well, if we could have, we would have, but we can't.
Okay, well, but it's not the residents, it's the people that use Baza for the Pollyant Trail that make it
Well, that
a
Cooper
lot worse.
Standard.
Yeah, Cooper Standard does. There's a lot of truck traffic. There's not really any like semi trucks or anything like that. There's prime trucks and all that, but a lot of delivery trucks don't really use that part of Baza because they know that tight corner. I've seen them have to back up multiple times. And but that's one of the biggest things is the use for the Pollyant Trail is a big reason why the road is the way it is. I'm there all day long. I've been off work for 2 years now, so I've had a lot of time to observe and look, and that's one of the biggest problems about the road. It needs a big crown. It needs a big crown so that water can get off the road and not sit in the road. Is one of the biggest problems.
You think more potholes would help?
No, we got enough of those for a mile.
No, it's kind of like a catch-22. The better you make the road surface, the faster they go.
Oh, well.
But I understand.
I'm an a-hole at the corner. I tell everybody to slow down.
Yeah.
I yell at everybody young and old. I'll knock on your door if you go down too fast.
You won't be the first. Okay, any other questions or comments? As I indicated early on, this program is aimed at economic development, supporting downtowns. So we can very easily support certain projects like this one because of the downtown association with Cooper Standard and the excavating company and the Steenson's machine shop there. So it's actually, it's a good thing. I mean, every little bit helps. And it helps us do something that maybe well or better than we would if left to our own means to do so. So So I'd open the floor for any action. Basically, I'm asking for a motion to authorize the village president to submit an application to use that funding for the purposes of improving Division Street, East Division Street.
What is the length that's being covered there? Like 1,000 feet or something like that, maybe?
Yeah, no, it's not even that, Alex. It's 700 feet. And I used my calculations were for 20 feet wide, which is pretty wide on that. It is a 2-lane road, but, yeah, well, except when you get up to and then everybody's making it wider. So, yeah, but that's what
They're
happens.
also doing that on our property. And you know Fred busts his butt to keep that looking nice, and they're driving to get off. of
We're gonna
Monmouth.
talk to that, what point later in the agenda.
Okay,
Okay.
I better hear something good.
I don't think you,
Yeah, probably.
maybe you wanna
not.
leave early then, so. No, go ahead.
I'll send him down.
Is there any, is there a motion then, by the council?
I'd like to make a motion, we proceed with the road improvement project as presented.
I'll support that.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Kennedy, a second by trustee Hawkins, to authorize the village president to submit an application for the local road and Oakland County Commissioners Local Road Improvement Matching Fund Program. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call on that, please?
Sure. Pellicet,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Hawkins,
Yes.
Swack.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Okay, chloride street grading vendor status, basically. What I learned 3 weeks ago is that our current chloride provider and grading provider has retired and are in the process of selling their business, so it will not be local to Leonard anymore. And in fact, I've spent the last week or so trying to find a company that would not only do chloride, but also grade for us. There is another company that is looking at purchasing road maintenance, and they're located over in the White Lake, Milford area, and they would definitely be interested in servicing us for chloride only. They don't want to, have to grade roads. So I've also contacted a couple of private companies in Lapeer County that might be willing to come to Leonard with a grader to grade the roads, because our truck can only grade a certain amount. It doesn't have the capacity to dig in, especially on a road that's hardened up. Now this spring, I think Don was out trying to touch it up a little bit, but it's pretty hard. It works fine when you have plenty of gravel on the road, but when it turns into the compacted clay, it barely makes a dent in it. So that being said, I just I'm open for the council's direction. We do have the road commission for Oakland County. They also do chloriding. It's quite expensive. But I have not been able to, I've been waiting for a call back from the road commission main office as to whether or not they would grade our roads before chloriding. In the past, we always graded our own until about 3 years ago, and then we started using the grader, which did a great job, but just getting it all coordinated is sometimes takes a little effort. But I'm open for suggestions. Otherwise, I'm going to pursue that. But at this point in time, we can't schedule grading or chloriding. Probably the road maintenance is supposed to let me know this week what's happening with their sale, whether there's gonna be a new provider or any provider, private company rather than the road commission, so. I do understand the township went with the road commission for the same reasons. They don't have a DPW as a township, so.
I guess as a question, if the other company or potential purchasing company isn't interested in grading, is road maintenance gonna sell their grader independently then?
It is up for sale now.
Do we have an idea on cost?
No, I don't have an idea, but I do know the condition of the grader, because I've been watching it for 3 years, and, I mean, it's still workable, but I think it's gonna need a lot of work to continue that.
Sure.
And the gentleman that drives it is not interested in doing it any longer either privately. There was some kind of relationship there between road maintenance and him. And I don't know if he was a contractor to them or an employee, but. So I could be looking for a grader for the village. I think we've missed a couple of opportunities in the past, mainly, they're expensive. The last one I looked at was $12,500. And it needed several $1,000s. It needed tires. It needed, new edges. I mean, it's kind of like a boat. They're a money pit. You get something like that. It's just like our truck. We've been trying to save the truck. It's a 10-year-old, well, it's a 12-year-old truck now, and a 13-year-old truck. And, the working lifetime goes down real fast when you start pounding them.
Yeah, I said my opinion would be that we spend $12,000 to get a grader that's specifically designed for the purpose rather than beat the shit out of the truck
I agree.
that we spent $70 on.
And that's been,
Yeah.
until this happened, I had not even thought we'd have a problem, but that's why I called trying to line up grading, Judy.
So Eric's retired?
No. Pat.
Oh, I thought they were.
Oh, no, Glenn retired, and Eric bought the business from them, or he bought Glenn's part of the business. Apparently, he's not gonna get into the chloride business, so. But I'm working on it. I'll do the best I can. Like I said, I'm really anxious to hear back from the road commission, because in the township, they also grade and chloride at the, they grade and then follow right down with the chloride, which is the best way to do it. But here in Leonard, because we're our own Act 51 community, we would not only have to pay for the chloride, we'd have to pay for the grading as well. That would be extra. So, long range, a grader is the answer. But short range is, I gotta get it done. So however I get it done is what's gonna happen, so.
Yes, you do, because we're taxpayers too.
Cindy, I know, believe me, been literally working on it for 3 weeks, trying to figure out what the townships
You
do.
get out there with your wheelbarrow and shovel and fill in all them potholes, the dirt's right.
Yeah, I've got a plan in mind. I just haven't got Don yet to buy into it, so we'll see what happens.
Hopefully it won't take long.
No, and I appreciate the patience. I mean,
When the cars start dying though, the bills are coming to the towns, to the council here.
Well, just don't let Fred shoot me, or call me if he heads out of the house with a gun, okay?
Take care of the problem, won't we? I feel bad for him. That's the first thing he said, they're driving on our property now to get away from the potholes. And they were.
We've got cones in that, Cindy, if he wants to throw cones on the side there, for now.
You know what he's actually talking about doing? Same thing he did the last year.
Right.
Getting his, yes, and draining it.
Yeah. I don't know how he does it without breaking his equipment.
Well, it's not in the best shape, so
Oh, okay.
maybe he doesn't worry about that anymore, I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay, so anyway, I don't have any more unless council wants to offer some input. And I'll keep you posted as these things develop. Okay, next item on the agenda is Pollyant Trailway, in-kind support from the village. Basically, every community that belongs to the Pollyant Trailway Management Council is assessed dues every year for being a member, and that's to provide support to pay for everything that needs to get done on the Pollyant Trail. Since its inception, the village of Leonard has been allowed to, or has been providing in-kind support. In other words, we provide a storage space up in Rowland Hall in the form of an office where they have material, files and stuff saved. And then the village, the Rowland Hall, is also the address, the official address of the corporation that manages the Pollyant Trail. And then we've always maintained the trail generally within the village until until the trail was paved, and then they've hired. Since that time, we don't mow like we used to do all the mowing and all the maintenance, and we don't do that anymore. So the question was raised: well, why are we not paying anything for the Pollyant Trail? For instance, this year, in 2022, the amount assessed us was $2,300, and we'll call it $2,400. This year, it jumped up to $3,105. Now, it's based on a formula that takes into consideration your population and the number of miles that your trail has, and that's how they arrive at the amount of money. However, in my opinion, and I think this is one of the reasons that we've kind of been, they haven't pressured us for complete payment or payment of any kind, is because we do so much to support the trail. We plow it fairly often, the trail itself in the winter, a couple times after bad snows. We maintain the parking lot, the trailhead, that's all the bathroom. So you take that all into account, it probably adds up to more, or at least what we aren't paying. But now that it's getting so much higher, the question's being raised, well, if we can do that, why can't the other communities along the trail do in-kind as well? And so I'm going to argue that we should be able to consider our contribution as part of our payment. But I'm also developing a spreadsheet to show how much it actually amounts to money-wise. And I'm using the MDOT schedule of equipment payments that we use for our Act 51. And I'm logging the hours and the equipment types that we use on the trail. And it adds up to a significant amount of money. But I wanted to make the council aware that at some point, this could change, because the other communities either will want to take advantage of that. I think everybody always thought, well, the village is so small, it's fair, it's a fair exchange, but it's like $8 a head now for our village. If you divide, Alex is good at money, if you divide 377 people into $3,100, you get what, $8
$8 or something.
Yeah, $8, give or take,
What
per head. Whereas in the same.
Are they assisting at no cost? Or they
Oh,
charge them?
no, the other communities pay, other than Addison, which dropped out of the trail for several years, at one point. This year, Orion Township pays $33,338. Oxford Township pays $19,965. Village of Oxford pays $4,046. Addison Township pays $14,546. And the Village of Leonard would pay $3,105. So, and that's the major part of where the money comes from to pay for trail maintenance and the operations on the trail. So I just wanted you to be, $8.23 a resident is what I figured.
Yep.
I was looking right at it, didn't see it. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. I'm doing everything that I can to preserve the current system, but we'll just have to see where it goes.
So for their argument, then they would have to maintain, each community, if you want to avoid the cost, would have to maintain the trail as it's being maintained.
Well,
Period.
for instance, right now, the Village of Oxford provides space for the trail to store all of its lawn mowing, all of its
Probably
outdoor
charge for
equipment, and they're not
charging for that.
they're not charging for it, and they're not, so you can see what's happening there.
Yeah. So it's a mixed bag of
Right.
costs.
Is it fair? Townships don't have DPWs. They do have park and recreation departments that do a lot of that kind of work. That they're doing that. I think in the winter, sometimes Orion Township plows the trail in their area, and the volunteers do it in Oxford occasionally, in the Oxford Village, but it's nothing formal, and it's nothing that's, they're compensated for. Yeah. So, okay, enough said. I also have on the agenda mowing for the nature park for 2023. Unfortunately, I only received one proposal, and that was from the current provider, Sunrise Services, and they want $70 a mowing in 2023. And I have solicited other bids. I heard back from one of them today, and he's in the process of developing a bid. So I'll probably have to bring this back before the council next month.
We also have somebody local in the village that does commercial mowing as well. Ryan Waldo moved into Larry Hoffman's old house.
Oh, really?
Yep, so, if you want, I can get you his contact info, so if you want to contact him.
appreciate that.
Yep,
Yeah, I tried calling, he's in, on not Facebook, but Neighborhood, that other website.
Next.
And I think he's been mentioned on there, and the number I tried there, I can't even remember. I think it was, the mailbox was full or something like that.
sure.
Is that a once a week project?
Yeah. And right now, it's too wet, obviously.
Right.
But by the end of the month, it would be nice to start, especially, and the only reason we do that is because of the bequest we got, and the request from that it be mowed regularly, which the village has never really been good at, being too regular, so. And we've had to take on more mowing as well, so.
Can anybody from the community go up there and mow if it needs mowed?
Well, yeah, that's happened a lot.
That kind of thing is okay.
Yeah, if anybody wants to voluntarily do it, though, they should let us know,
Just let you guys.
because we have a waiver, so that if you get hurt or something like that. But no, that would be welcome. Problem is we've been lucky in the past and had community service people that the courts, and they would come and mow. We had one guy that mowed, 2021, I think it was. He mowed all summer long, so it was great. But with the bequest, we,
Just come up here and I can get.
yeah, the office is upstairs, if you didn't know.
Nope, good.
Okay, village, and so we're open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay,
And you can either call, or if you stop by, Judy's got the waiver form,
okay.
and you just sign it. And that goes for any village. We also mow the trailhead,
Yeah.
and around the mill. So just,
No, yeah.
just FYI.
I've got a lot of time.
Yeah.
So. You might be.
With you.
Yeah,
Well, we're looking, yeah, we're looking for help, for the deep, we are looking for help.
Well, I'm probably, I could be a good candidate, probably.
Okay, well,
That's looking for help if you're not.
yeah, you could fill out an application,
Maybe do that.
Okay.
and we certainly, that would be that would be the preferred way to do it. That's how we've always done it, is our DPW department cuts that stuff. But because our DPW person, we haven't been able to get help for 4 years. I mean, it's,
I'm just waiting on my permanent work restrictions for my work disability, and I'm pretty sure that falls well within my restrictions, so
okay.
I will definitely look into that without a doubt.
Yeah.
I would love to do something like that, honestly.
It's great, it's close to home. It's
Yeah,
a beautiful,
right down the road.
beautiful community.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, and
Mike Walls' house.
Mike Ball's old house, yeah. Mike and Betty.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so anyway, we're not gonna do anything this month with it until I get another bid anyways, and we'll see what develops. Okay. All right. Last item under new business is the youth assistance resolution. As the council members know, Oxford Addison Youth Assistance, who we also provide a small amount of money to their budget each year, they have a board of directors, and they have recommended the appointment of Linda Moran, who you may know is also our Pollyant Trail Manager, and the Oxford Police Department officer, Brendan Westenbarger, to be members of the board as volunteers. So they're asking the Village of Leonard for our evaluation and hopefully approval of them as volunteer board members. Judy, anything to add? Judy is the chairman of the Oxford Addison Youth Assistance, and that pretty much cover it? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so what's the pleasure of the council? You probably got a letter in your packs, did they?
No,
Oh, okay. Well then,
you said you were gonna read it.
I will, I'll read it. There's a proposal, this is the resolution to approve Oxford Addison Youth Assistance volunteers to the Board of Directors. Whereas the Oxford Addison Youth Assistance Program in the Charter Township, or in the Village of Leonard, is augmented by contributions from the Charter Township of Oxford, the Village of Oxford, Addison Township, and Village of Leonard, Oxford Community Schools, Oakland County Circuit Court, Family Division, which permits operation of an office with casework staff, whereas the efforts of numerous citizen volunteers provide significant service to the youth of the Village of Leonard, the Charter Township of Oxford, Village of Oxford, Addison Township, and Oxford Community Schools in projects promoting the prevention of juvenile delinquency, child neglect, and child abuse. Now therefore be it resolved that the Leonard Village Council does hereby approve and support the Oxford Addison Youth Assistance volunteers appointed to the Board of Directors being Linda Moran and Brendan Westenbarger. So looking for a motion to adopt that resolution, and then we'll have a roll call.
I will make a motion to adopt the resolution
Well, thank you.
as mentioned.
I'll support.
Motion by trustee Swack, support by trustee Kennedy. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Hawkins?
Yes.
Swack?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Pelichick?
Yes.
All right, moving on then to old business. Roland Hall custodian, findings, recommendations. Okay, we had no contacts from any residents, or I did not solicit commercial quotes because I wanted to see if we could find somebody local. $100 a month for a custodian for Roland Hall. Trustee paycheck. I always murder that. I have a thing.
All right.
I apologize. Has offered to do the work, and barring any other interest in doing it, I did contact, as you can read in my memo that I sent out April 3rd, after consulting with the village attorney. I did contact the Michigan Municipal League and our village attorney, and they also they rendered the opinion that the law does provide for a part-time custodial position in a community to be to have employ an elected official, but they can't vote on a matter related to that position that they may hold. And then it exempts smaller communities from the prohibition to work for the local community if their population, if you are a city, village, or township, or county, having a population of less than 40,000. So I think we well fall, and they make that same exception for police and for firefighters, but the community, the board or the council for the community has to vote on it in order for them to be appointed. So there's not a lot of work, but somebody's got to do it, you know, and it's necessary to have it done. So I'm going to recommend the appointment of Yvonne Pelichek to that position. It's a at-will position. In other words, there's no benefits or you don't acquire seniority or anything like that. At the current rate of $100 a month for the maintenance and cleaning of the Roland Hall. So is there a second for that?
Second.
And consistent with that, Yvonne, I will ask that you not vote on this, okay?
No problem.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second to employ Yvonne Pelichek as our custodian for Roland Hall. Are there any questions on the motion? Anybody?
I do have a question. Can I waive the fee?
Technically, no, but you could certainly donate it to a worthy project or cause,
To the
Yvonne.
youth association?
Pardon?
To the youth association?
There, or the decorating committee, or,
Well,
you
that's
know.
a decorating.
I know, you,
Kind of like in that.
well, yes.
I mean, I don't see it as being a huge project.
Okay. Well, maybe once you've done it.
Right. Yeah. You need
Yeah,
to
you
do it
never
for a while
know.
and then decide.
My
Yeah.
house is much bigger
Okay.
than this.
Okay, well, can we have a roll call vote then, please?
Swack,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Hawkins.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Abstention for trustee Welch. Okay, so the motion carried. Von, you'll have to see Judy to get your information and all that. Sure. Thank you for taking it on. Okay, under old business number 2, authorize nature park development expense to row PSC. I have a tough time with this one because it's been incredibly difficult to get information back and forth from Oakland County Parks and Rec regarding the grant that we got in 2022. In fact, it's just been about a year. We had hoped to start the project, which was pre-development planning and engineering for the nature park. But that hasn't happened. It didn't happen in 2022, and it hasn't happened yet, mainly because row submitted a proposal that was over $60,000, and the project total is $30,400, I believe, which includes our match and grant of $7,500. So I've been trying to contact Parks and Rec to find out if we can get an extension, or, what can we do? Because April 28th is the finish date for the project by contract. And I'm working to find out if they will extend that, or, I hate to say it, but we're in the position of if we don't use it, we're gonna lose it. The thing is we only had the one proposal from Rowe. So I have talked to a couple other firms. Of course, everybody's interested in it, but they're not gonna give us a proposal, until we've actually said, give us a proposal. And we'd already talked about Rowe, so I'm afraid I'm gonna have to bring it back to the council. If I don't make any changes, I think the grant will be gone for this year, or for last year. I'm just not sure that Rowe is up to doing all the work that needs to be done in the short time frame that we have. And that's not all their fault. I worked a couple months paring the proposal down and trying to tailor it to the amount of money we had. And it's just been difficult. But I think I took on more than I could chew. And we do have a Park and Rec committee, but we haven't met enough, and frankly, there's nothing more that they can really do. They got us this far, recommended that, we proceed with it, but I will keep the council informed on that. Okay, DPW, I think we're pretty good. There was a problem with the truck, and I think Don was able to fix it. It had something to do with cold weather and starting. I don't know if it was the fuel was gelling or something, but it gave us a fright, but I think we're past that now, hopefully with the weather. For my report, we did receive one FOIA request regarding the placement of recycling containers in the village. And the response was, we don't outlaw them, but they have to be, they're talking about those clothing recycling and those other bins and stuff. We don't specifically address them, however, they fall under our code of ordinances and our zoning. And before they could be placed, they would have to have submit a site plan, et cetera, and it could only be in commercial property or industrial property. So,
Want to add one to the village?
well, it was an attorney's firm that represents maybe other firms that do that.
Because they had one down by the plaza south of Lakeville, where the pizza place, I think it's Isola's is in there.
Oh, yeah,
And it's not there anymore. And my guess was because it became a trash pile.
Well,
It did not collect shoes and clothing.
yeah, I don't know what it collected, but.
Didn't they also have one?
They have one for magazines and that, with the construction project,
It didn't go back.
they didn't put it back. I think they're a bit of a nuisance for a
Yeah.
property
I
owner.
think even the restaurant in Lakeville for a while had a recycling bin,
Yeah.
but it's gone too now.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah, that was a
They-
while
they-
back.
I
but-
mean,
It just disappeared when they sold it.
and I
Doors took care of it, they got rid of that thing.
and I appreciate having them there because I
Right.
clean out houses. I have a lot of clothes and shoes, but they became junk piles. So that's probably why it wasn't there anymore.
So that may or may not be in the planning commission's future, but hopefully not. Most communities, I think, discourage them in anything other than a large commercial or industrial area. So, and most of our commercial lots, frankly, are small. It's more of a impediment to business than a service. So, and then We had no applications for block grant support from any residents. Ordinance enforcement, I have contacted the village attorney about 4285 Forest Street. We do have a hazardous structure ordinance that is complicated and necessary. And I have asked the village attorney to give me direction on how to proceed to prosecute that action on 4285. The roof now has a very large hole on the south side, so I imagine that the interior is going to be bad. And I'm waiting to get back. I'm sure I will have to have the building inspector obviously attempt to assess it, and I need to know what he can or can't do, and then we'll proceed from there. But I am also asking him to explore whether we can just initiate a lawsuit right away for condemnation rather than go through the whole hazardous building process, which is rather extended because you have to put together a board of construction. That means I have to get, it would be the same people probably from the township. They also have that requirement. But it's a lot to do. And so I'd like to see if there's a shortcut, given the history that we have with them. And for those that aren't familiar, 4285 is the yellow house south of the Pollyant Trail on the west side of Forest. And most people know it. Most people that have lived
Does
here.
somebody out of state own that thing? Is that what it is?
Company out of
Is it-
state.
State owns it?
Yeah, and the history on that company is not good. They've been thrown out of a couple other states, New York and another eastern state, for the same problems. They rip people off. It's kind of a sham rent to own.
Yes.
They offer the owners rent to own, and then about after 6 or 8 months in, the owners realize that they don't really have rent to own. They're just paying rent. The company's under no obligation, and it's just a mess. Yeah.
Mike, how'd they ever get to Leonard? Because they're usually in Detroit or Flint.
They're everywhere.
It was a
They're
property,
everywhere.
foreclosure, or not foreclosure, but
Yep.
property sale in the county, delinquent tax sale, many years ago.
So they must be paying the taxes on it.
They keep them, they're 2 to 3 years behind. They keep it right on the brink, and it can't be very much money. I mean,
They
that's
pay
probably
when
what
they
we
have
should
to.
do.
Unbelievable. That's just nasty.
It makes no sense. It really just,
Nastiness.
so anyway, unless the council has an objection to my proceeding along this line of,
Do it.
it's time. In fact, I mean, we all know it's way past time, but they were securing it, they were doing the bare minimum, and now they're not. Now we've got an opening here where they've got a nasty situation, and we got to do something about it, so. And their answer may well be to come and put a roof on it. I have no idea, but that's what the lawyers are going to tell us, see what happens. Okay, DTE Leonard, Addison Leonard update. Real quick, Bruce Pearson and I met with DTE representatives here at Rowland Hall a couple weeks ago, and they were confronted by the facts that Bruce and I had put together about the anomalies and the outages, the poor equipment maintenance out here, the fact that Lapeer County services our area, so we're like this. We're like a stepchild that is not being cared for very well. We're the last one to get food, Cinderella, whatever. We also pointed out that based on our last series of complaints and improvements, they brought a 13,000 volt line in from Almont all the way down to Leonard Road where it just ends. And we said that was part of what you told us was going to be a redundant electrical system, so that if the power couldn't come from the south, It could come from the north. And we also have one coming in from Almont as well. Almont? No. Romeo. And they said they can't explain the logic, but the 13,000 volts, currently Addison Township is on 4,800 volts. The Brewer substation and all. They are making improvements. They're extending the 13,000, but the DTE made a big deal out of announcing that they're switching everybody from 13,000 up to, or from 4,800 up to 13,000, which is a good thing. But it ain't gonna help us because we're not listed as being one of the communities that we're gonna do that in. You know, they sent out a big thing, but it says Oakland County, but it's only certain areas of Oakland County, and we're not one of them. So we confronted them with that. The bottom line is that, yes, they acknowledge that there has been a unproportionate number of outages in our area. We know that it's because the circuit here north of Beza Street, that main pole on Beza Street near Forest, it's got all the gimmicks on it. That's an automatic cutoff. When there's an interruption north of that cutoff, it shuts down the whole circuit. So all of northern Addison Township, even part of Oxford, I think, is affected by it. And they have scheduled and it won't be till mid to late summer. They're going to install more, I call them breakers, but they're going to separate this circuit into pieces so that if there is an outage, it won't take out like the west side. If there's an outage on the east side, something along those lines. They said into 3, and they're also spending quite a bit of money on a lot of our cross bars on the poles are rotting. The pole tops are rotting. So they have a pole program in place. Again, that's not going to be till late summer or fall. And they're going to put a new ceramic, the current ceramic insulators that are on the tops of the poles have been found to be problematic because they're not holding up. After 30 years, they just are really deteriorating badly. So they're going to change those on a lot of the wires. But it's nothing immediate, and I don't want to get everybody's hopes up, but they are going to do that much. Now, whether that's going to seriously affect us, I don't think it can hurt us. You know, if they get rid of some of the bad poles, and that's what's happened the last 2 big outages we had was the pole top there at behind the mill, and then there was one down on Army Road and Army Road and Rochester Road. This almost exact same thing. An insulator cracked, voltage went down through the insulator into the crossbar and started a fire, and then it fell, the wire fell onto the crossbar, and it was a mess. And that was, well, I guess that was late fall last year. But that was cause a widespread outage because, again, we've only got 1 feed in. When they disconnect, we're out of it. So that's where we are now. In case anybody wonders what we're doing about it, I thought you all should be made aware of this because nobody's happy about it, and least of all DTE, because we've become a thorn in their side over this. So, okay. I also want to mention that we received a resolution request. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which you may all recall we usually get a resolution from them asking them to recognize May as Mental Health Awareness Month. And then moving on to number, and I wanted to inform everyone that the decorating committee has ordered planters and a bench for the downtown improvements. We did get the planters already. The bench came in the wrong color, so I had to wrap it up and ship it back. And they said it might be, what did I say, I think mid-May or late May before we get the bench. But that should be fine. It should work out, I think. Okay, moving on then to the trustee committee reports. Summer Festival Committee, I attended the last meeting, and they're making plans and progress. They have about approximately $10,000 in their budget. And unfortunately, Kyle Stapp is undergoing some personal medical issues and is not going to be, he's probably going to be unavailable for 4 to 6 weeks, starting now. So I'm not sure, we're going to have to keep a close eye and see how things go. But as chairman, he's the one that makes sure everything comes together. So I know our thoughts and prayers are with him and his wife, that it turns out things go well for him. And that's probably the most important thing. Okay, Cable Commission, John, anything?
It was canceled on March, so we'll be meeting at the end of this month.
Decorating Committee, anything we good?
We're good.
Okay.
I think so, right?
I think so
Jennifer?
too, yeah. North Oakland Transportation, for everybody's knowledge, NODA did receive a $2.8 million check from the county, which is what they had contracted for back in February. So, so far they've lived up to their word. The contract is only for 3 years, as you may recall, and it's renegotiable the second and third years. So we don't know what we're going to get, but so far so good. Okay, and then Planning Commission, anything? I don't think we have anything going on, do we? I have asked the village attorneys to look into whether an ordinance is necessary, either through the zoning ordinance or the code of ordinances regarding those donation bins and stuff. Because we don't address them directly, but they are an ancillary use. So they they still require site plan approval, but we could give a simple yes or no if any further inquiries come, if that's something that we want in the village. So, FYI. Okay, and the
Cancel the meeting for this month?
Probably.
yeah,
Got nothing for it, so
yeah, if we're-
I'll make a
we're good.
motion to cancel the April Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Swag, second by trustee Kennedy to cancel the regular April Planning Commission meeting. Are there any questions on the motion? None? All in favor of the motion to cancel the Planning Commission meeting for April, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Motion carried. And then Pollyann Trailway Management Council, pretty much the big thing right now is obviously springtime, more people getting out. And this grant proposal is a big deal for them and for us because it means improvements, planning for improvements on the entire length of the trail in Oakland County. So it's a big deal. So I appreciate, and I think we all appreciate the trail and we support it.
Did they ever get together with Lapeer County?
We tried.
They need some signs. Wyatt and I wrote that. There are no signs telling you where you're at.
Well,
Yeah.
what time is it? Well, I could talk a while longer.
Was that us in earlier, but want to make a motion?
Lapeer County did not want the Pollyann Trail to start with. They never supported it. They fought it much like Addison did. Much like Addison, the property owners up there wanted the land. Unfortunately for Lapeer County, a couple of the property owners were also on the Board of Commissioners, so they shouted it down every time there was an attempt. Times have changed. I went to a couple of their friends of the Pollyann Trail meetings, and the communities of Dryden, Imlay City have really gotten on board with the trail. And the last 3 years, they've asked for funding to improve the trail between Dryden and Imlay City, but they really don't want to hook up to Oakland County for some reason. I guess they don't want us southerners up in the north end of Lapeer. So, and they've been denied, and I think they've been denied the grants mainly because I believe that they don't want connectivity. They want to improve that 7 mile stretch, whatever it is. Man, I think it's longer than that, between Imlay and Dryden. That's gotta be,
That's gotta be 10 or 15.
yeah, 10 or 12 anyways, yeah.
that's pretty big.
But that's all they want to fix up. So,
That's where we need the signs.
well, it's still a trail, and they do get money from the DNR to maintain the property, which means that in the past, Parks and Rec paid one of their residents to drive up and down with his brush hog and mow it, and he does a good job where he can do it. But yeah, I think they just don't know what they're missing out on by not being part of a contiguous trail. It'd be great for a small town. Dryden has a bar. They've got,
Dryden has a whole
a certain
setup for the
full
transit.
service
Yeah,
station.
got ice cream shops.
Yeah.
They've got all-
Yeah, so I think Dryden is in. I think Dryden would be fine going south, but so far that's not on their agenda. They did get a grant. They did get a small grant, I think a passport grant, to do some fix-up on the trail. I don't know if it was last year or this year, but that's all I've heard. Okay, Village Park Committee, I don't have anything on my calendar for that. We're gonna have to get together in light of this park grant situation. I'll keep the council posted. And then we still haven't gotten a community development block grant report, although there has been no activity, so we're back where we were, which is, I think, around 8,000 or 7,000 for minor home repairs, and I think there's still a small amount in removing architectural barriers, but don't quote me. Okay. Yeah, if you think I'm bad, the county has got all those millions of dollars in computers and everything, and they can't generate a report to send us on block grant, like they have every month for the last, as long as I can remember.
They had one, and then they wanted to improve it. Well, the improved one doesn't work. So go back to the old one, guys.
Yeah, really. Anyway, that makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Okay, you can mark your calendars, Leslie already knows this. May 13th is gonna be the township cleanup day, so anybody that has something or if you see something on the road, don't wanna pick it up yourself, couch or whatever, call either me or the township supervisor. That's what, Bruce and I go out
Really
every
do see
year.
that stuff?
We drive the back roads, we ask the police will tell us where stuff is, and we'll go out, load it on a trailer. A lot of times it's mattresses and couches, and we load them on a trailer, and then we take them down to the township and get rid of them that way. But yeah, it's a really great service, you can take, I think they'll take 4 tires, no charge. They won't take an appliance if a refrigerated appliance, unless it's been tagged. And I don't know if they'll tag them there or not. I don't think they have the last couple of years.
Just keep it running and sell it to DTE.
Yeah, DTE will give you $50 for
Just
it.
keep it running.
But other than that, that's all that's going on.
What times?
It's usually,
Like 7 a.m.
Eight.
till, or 8
Is it
till
7 or 8?
noon.
They have flyers at the township.
8 to 1, something like
Yeah.
that, yeah. Yeah, and I haven't heard, but usually they have a shredding truck for shredding personal documents, and that comes usually around 10 or 11 and stays for a couple hours. But it's really a good way to get rid of, if you've got stuff that you really don't want to put out in the garbage or burn, you could stand right there and watch them suck it up and shred it.
Do you know if they take books?
Pardon?
Do you know if they take books in those shredders?
I think they take anything, as long as it doesn't have metal in it.
Yeah.
Like they'll donate books to
Textbooks,
the,
everybody.
So that's May 13th.
Really, really old textbooks.
They are gonna have a trailer they won't take paint, but they'll take most household hazardous waste, batteries, old detergents, old spray cans and that. They're gonna load a trailer and then take it to the county. It costs, because Addison didn't join the no-haz this year, as we have always in the past, the cost nearly doubled for it. It was like $14,000 this year, and they had 50 people last year, and we paid $10 a car, so 50 people, $500 is all it costs the citizens, but now it's gonna cost way more. So the plan is they're gonna fill a trailer with household hazardous waste on May 13th, and then on the county day, when the county has their no-haz, we're gonna haul it to that and pay the I think it's 120 or 150 bucks if you aren't from a participating community to take it.
Doesn't the village of Leonard participate?
We did through the township. Yeah, we were covered by the township,
That's too bad.
yeah. So anyway, that's all I have. Anybody else? Council? Residents? Friends? Neighbors? Countrymen?
No, I have a question though. When you start working on the park, are you gonna notify the homeowners that are against the park?
How are, you mean
No,
adjacent,
yes.
adjacent to it?
Yes.
If there's any, if there's actually, there won't be, all we would be doing, Cindy, is if I can get it done, is surveying, and setting corners, and laying out where the sidewalk would be, where the right-of-way is. So it's not like it would be disturbing, maybe.
It's not so much this, well, I'd like to know if they're gonna, but there needs to be a fence.
Oh, I agree. That's obviously part of the overall plan. But this is a pre-development grant. This is making the plans, figuring out where things are gonna be. So, okay.
I might wanna know when they're surveying. That would be interesting.
I'd like to make a motion, we
You'll probably
adjourn.
know they're there before I do.
Maybe.
I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll support that.
Not even a question.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no.
8:29.
I'm heading in right now.